and welcome to the Lobcast Podcast, Mixers in Marketing. I'm Stephanie Donaldson, your hostess with the Marketing Mostess, and I'm the Senior Content Marketing Manager here at Lob. I'm thrilled to be joined once again with my Senior Director of Content, Kim Courvoisier. Welcome, Kim.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
All right, so today we're going to be talking about intelligent mail and making some iced mochatinis. So to make this cocktail at home, you'll need 1.5 ounces of vanilla vodka, 1.5 ounces of coffee liqueur, and 3/4 ounces of chocolate liqueur. And then you'll want some granulated sugar for the rim. You're going to pour the vodka and the liqueurs into a cocktail shaker filled with ice, shake well, and then strain into the prepared cocktail glass with the sugared rim. So I am lacking on my hardware, so this is mine, but cheers, Kim, and welcome.
Cheers. And I am a disaster with a martini glass, so I improvised, pardon me, but it is delicious, so cheers.
I think most people come to this for the marketing portion, I'm going to assume, so I think we're okay.
So.
All right, so let's dive into today's discussion topic, intelligent mail. Kim, what do we mean when we say intelligent mail?
Well, in the past, when you said the words direct mail, it may have conjured up thoughts of junk mail, right? That was mass-produced, sent, and highly irrelevant, like the physical form of email spam, right? Intelligent mail, on the other hand, it's connected, it's personalized, and it's scalable. It targets consumers and helps brands expand awareness, boost response rates, and increase ROI. And in the end, truly, it all just comes down to relevance.
Mm-hmm.
Someone on LinkedIn recently said to me that their Bass Pro catalog was for him, and the Chadwick's catalog was for his wife. Now, if those two things were reversed and the Chadwick's catalog came addressed to him and the Bass Pro catalog came addressed to his wife, they might be seen as junk and either person would just throw it in the bin, right? So it really does come down to relevance.
No, I think that's a really great point. I was going to say, to me, junk mail is just mail that can't hold my attention. It isn't relevant and it's immediately tossed in the recycling bin. So how can marketers make sure that consumers regard their direct mail campaigns as intelligent instead of junk mail?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, you'll probably hear me say the word relevance. We should drink every time I say relevance. Relevance is the holy grail. You've got to target your campaigns ruthlessly so the end recipient gets value from it and takes action. And I think marketers are really off to a good start. 62% of the consumers that responded to our State of Direct Mail Consumer Insights report told us that they've taken action on a direct mail piece. I also think that personalization is key. 52% of those consumers told us that they expect direct mail pieces to be personalized to them, including, their interests, their preferences, their recent purchases, where they live, things like that. And believe it or not, consumers want mail. 44% of 18 to 34-year-olds told us that direct mail is a great way for brands to get to know them and what they aren't familiar with. And 82% of the respondents told us that they have taken action on a direct mail piece nearly immediately or the same day they get it. So that's pretty powerful.
No, and I love that because I think, we've talked about this on the podcast before, and I've also talked about it with other guests, but that personalization factor, especially using imagery, we collect so much data about our customers and even our prospects that we really should be able to personalize social media ads, personalize email campaigns. I mean, again, I've talked about that makeup brand that I had a subscription to. They could have easily won back my business by being like, hey, you rated these items really highly in the past, and since they're sample size, you've probably run out by now. Maybe you should come back to us and we'll include these in your next shipment.
Yeah, absolutely. I just had an experience like that. I went to Sephora and had this little mini makeover, trying to step up my game for the podcast. And it was so great because after, when I got home, they sent me an email and it had the makeup items that they had used in my mini makeover with the buy now button. I was like, brilliant. So drop dead simple to convert. So they could have done that on a direct mail piece as well.
And when you think about it with our MarTech these days, that doesn't take that much work to have those personalization tokens built out. And then it's just mapping those different variables, being like, oh, okay, she was this specific shade of this foundation. Bloop, there we go. We've got the photo. You have to put that work in the front end to make sure that all those pieces line up. But then when it comes time to execute the campaign, it's basically plug and play.
Absolutely. And I know we'll talk about how to make it plug and play a little bit later on in the podcast.
So talking about how it's easy, I think that also plays into the scalability of the channel. How does that come into play for intelligent mail?
Good question. So intelligent direct mail enables you to execute at any scale, at any frequency. And that's important because it removes the barriers and the obstacles that used to exist when you did direct mail in a more traditional fashion or with a traditional print vendor, right? There were minimums, you got price breaks if you hit a certain volume. So you were almost incented to have to do mass mailings and send, ridiculously huge amounts of mail, right? But with intelligent direct mail, you have the immediate advantage of flat rate pricing. You're not locked into having to send X number of mail pieces. You can send 1 or 1,000,000, right? So now you can really cherry pick those cohorts or the different segments of your audience that you want to send to, so you can mail smarter, not harder.
That's a great point. And I think it goes back to the point about, the printer. You were buying these mass volumes so you could get those discounts. But then the end result is that mail might not be that valuable to the end recipient, because I think of the word valuable when I think of intelligent mail. So how can marketers make smarter or more informed decisions about what offers or messaging to use to make their direct mail more valuable to that recipient?
Yeah, you hit on this just before this, right? Data. And data gives you powerful information to create valuable mailers that convert. And you have a plethora of data about your customer, including things like where they live, what pages on your website that they may have browsed, items they added to their cart but didn't, buy, things they've already purchased. Things like when did they last log in, or when did they make that last purchase? How long have they not made a purchase for? All kinds of things, right? So these are really powerful data points when it comes to targeting mail pieces that you can use your customer behavior and activity, just like you would in a digital campaign or to do digital display ads, right? As an example, consumers told us that using an image of a recently purchased item is a super effective personalization tactic to capture their attention.
Would have worked on me.
I know, right? Just like that Sephora thing that I got, it's like I didn't purchase that, but it's something I just interacted with. And, we talk a lot about this, like strike while the iron's hot, you're top of mind. So then just deliver, make it really easy to convert.
No, definitely. I think you just brought up the point about, working it in with your digital efforts. So that takes us on to our discussion topic number 2 of today. Let's get phygital. And I know you were
love that word. There's the phygital.
But I think one word that we also associate with intelligent mail is integrated. And that's where phygital comes in. As an Apple products owner, I love that all my devices play nicely together. I have the same experience no matter if I'm on my laptop or on my phone. I get my messages spread out across the same thing. It's integrated. So, Kim, how can marketers think about integrating direct mail into their other campaigns so they all play nicely together?
Yes, integration is so important to create those memorable customer journeys and ensure your campaigns, whether they're digital or digital, work together to deliver that all-important ROI. And today, only 7% of marketers are using direct mail as a standalone tactic. So clearly, we understand that direct mail plays nicely with other channels. 72% of marketers are using direct mail in conjunction with their email. And about half are using it with social media and SMS efforts. So, but in order to do that, that doesn't just happen in a silo, right? You have to integrate direct mail into your marketing tech stacks, including your CMS, your marketing automation platforms. And we've also seen companies plugging us into like their CDPs, and I'll talk a little bit about that later, and other technology platforms with really impressive results.
So you just kind of talked about some of the channels. So what channels would you recommend marketers focus on pairing direct mail with first? I know that our own, the other way,
I know,
2023 Stated Direct Mail report said that in an omni-channel marketing strategy, 72% of marketers pair it with email and 46% pair it with paid social. I'm a little bit biased as a social media manager, but I've got to agree with my marketing friends about pairing it with paid social. It's just a channel that makes sense. You're already trying to get them online. And like you mentioned earlier, that 44% of people preferring direct mail as a channel to reach them when they don't know that brand. That's a very nice way to pair it. Maybe you didn't capture their attention on Facebook, but here you are sliding into their mailbox. So Kim, I have to ask, are you biased towards email, having spent so much time in that particular marketing field?
I mean, of course. And I just gave that example again of, getting that email right when I got home from my makeover. And you can't argue, nearly 3/4 of marketers are using email and direct mail together, right? They're besties. They're peanut butter and jelly. They just go together. They're like our mochatinis, right? um, they're a natural complement to each other. And it's so easy to use them in a multi-touch or an omni-channel, strategy. We see tons of brands doing this across all different industries, from insurance to, direct to consumer food subscriptions to even healthcare. So using direct mail with your other channels is the way to go.
So how would you recommend that marketers pair intelligent mail intelligently with other marketing tactics? What are some key things that marketers should keep in mind when integrating direct mail into their strategy?
Yeah, this is a great question. And mapping out every touch point in your customer journey is critical. How you do that is really going to be up to you. And I'm sure people are doing it a myriad of different ways.
Yep.
I was thinking back when I thought about this question, and I remember over a decade ago, I went to Marketo's headquarters for a training, and they had every email in their customer journey printed out. I mean, this was 10 years ago, so pardon the paper, but printed out and on the wall. And that way, you could see it, you could read it, you could understand, what the recipient was experiencing. And, I stood back and I looked at that and it really hit me. I'm like, this is so impressive, just because if you change something, it's just right there, physical, right? And if this was an email that was being sent out, but they made it physical by printing it and sticking it on the wall. And that way too, they could map out all the other touch points and see it they see an ad here, or they get a direct mail postcard here. And so bringing that out and just making it real. I was so inspired by that I went back to my organization and I did the same thing. Now I had 12 different nurture paths going on, so I took over the walls of the office pretty quickly. But it was also such a great thing because other people around the organization would walk by and be like, what's this, right? Because you don't see things taped to the walls very often. It just raised the awareness too throughout the organization. So when people made asks of oh, let's just send this to our customers, it's well, wait, what's that going to do to this customer journey? So you really have to keep in mind everything a customer or prospect sees from your brand and how it all needs to work together, right? To create that memorable experience that makes them want to be a customer for life, or at least as long as it takes to pay back their cost of acquisition.
Which we should be looking at that as life, because you want to build that loyalty. You want to keep that customer as long as you possibly can.
For sure.
Okay, so finally, we have to talk about it, and I know you love it, but data. What do marketers need to have set up to best track, attribute, and intelligently optimize direct mail campaigns?
Yeah, this is a big question, right? And we could go down a rabbit hole here, and I'm just going to probably tell you a very short story, but this is where all those integrations become so important so that all of your data flows well from one platform to another and can be used in your campaigns. I think all of us who've been marketers for more than a few years have experienced that pain of having data in silos. Yes. And being we really want to do this, but we can't get to the data. So you're kind of handcuffed, I can't get to it. I'm flying blind. I don't have the data. I can only, do a merge field and do first name. And it was oh my God, we're so much better than this, right?
And you hope that first name is correct.
Right. I mean, we probably all had some disaster where we merged somebody put in something in a form that wasn't so kosher. And it was did not go well, but yeah, we won't go there. We'll have to drink stronger drinks in this, but I'll give you an example of a good example. As an Next, they're an insurance company. They made a big bet on a marketing technology by investing in a customer data platform, tie all of their different types of communications to customers and prospects all together, kind of wrap it up in a bow. So this investment helped them better understand what they were sending and how people were reacting. After investing in that CDP, Next needed a way to send out their direct mail. So enter Lob and our intelligent direct mail. Lob was a perfect fit because it allowed Next to use the technology with our APIs to plug in and send their direct mail campaigns quickly, easily, and at scale based on customer and prospect behavior that they were getting from the CDP.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I love their story. It's a great one.
Yeah. And anybody who wants to read it, it's available on lob.com/resources, case studies. You'll find it there. Sorry.
Among other good stories that they want to read too.
Yes, all the good stories.
All All right. Earlier, I talked about dumping my junk mail in the recycling bin. And while that's great, it could also be better in terms of being environmentally friendly. We talked a bit about sustainability with intelligent mail, but can you tell us more about that, Kim?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said at the beginning of the podcast, junk mail has a bad reputation. I mean, because it's bad. But it's the
Nobody
perception
wants
and the reality that it wastes a precious natural resource, paper, and it's environmentally unfriendly and carbon emitting. So some of the key differentiators with intelligent direct mail is that it's much more highly targeted, right? We keep talking about this than mass junk mail. And marketers are sending less mail that's more targeted. So Lab ensures responsible sourcing and practices in the production of every mail piece, and is committed to setting a new sustainability standard for direct mail that helps our customers and partners meet their goals. All mail that's sent, most people don't know this, all mail that's sent with Lab is carbon neutral through the entire life cycle, from that raw material, right, from that tree, all the way to that ultimate disposal recycling. And Lab continues to use responsibly sourced raw materials to minimize our footprint as much as possible.
No, definitely. And I also love that, we work with Eden reforestation projects to help plant, what is it, two trees for every one we use in our mail production. And so it's always great, again, as a social media manager, being able to share that stat each month of like, we've just planted 18,000 trees, this past month alone. So just being able to pay that back to not only the environment and Mother Nature, but also the communities that then are growing these forests and bringing them back to life.
Yeah, and that's the forest of the future, right? For the future generations and for the future of direct mail.
Yep. So outside of partnering with Lob, what other steps can marketers take to make sure that their direct mail is eco-conscious or reduce their return to sender rates? Anything like that?
Yeah, I love this question, actually. Thank you for asking it, because one of the first steps is along the lines of, everything we keep talking about today in mailing smarter, not just more. You can send less mailers and get better results because you're targeting, you're personalizing, and you're making your mailer relevant to the end recipients. You can also proactively ensure that your mail gets delivered by using address verification before that campaign gets sent to ensure the addresses that are sent are valid. And address verification also helps by, making sure the accuracy of your addresses are right by correcting those mistakes and misspelled addresses. It's so easy when people are just typing things in. A lot of us have been filling in addresses and now pops up and autocorrects it for you. It helps meet U.S. Postal Service's address formatting requirements with data standardization, and it prevents those bad addresses from causing downstream bottlenecks. So again, this is that efficiency play, right? We're helping you get into those mailboxes faster by, stopping those things before they get out, those bad addresses. If you turn the coin on its side, now that you're ensuring your mail is personalized, it's relevant, it's targeted, and those addresses are valid, you can use a direct mail partner that invests in sustainable direct mail and builds ESG into every direct mail campaign to help you meet your goals. And lastly, your partner should ensure that all the mail sent is carbon neutral, like we said, from raw material all the way through to ultimate disposal. And that's really how you set a new sustainability standard. And that's intelligent for the planet.
No, I love that. And I think another area that marketers can be a little bit more eco-conscious is, and we've talked about this before, but it's bringing back preference centers. I swear, so many brands, it seems, like to hide their preference centers or wait until you go to unsubscribe from emails. And then it's all, oh, well, we can limit the communications we send you. Kim, do you think we'll see preference centers make a comeback in the coming years, or as brands aim to be more sustainable and letting the customer choose how they want to be communicated and what channels, both in their physical marketing assets and their digital ones?
Oh my gosh. I just wish when you say, maybe when you edit this later, when you say preference centers, you can have it be like, oh. I feel like preference centers were like a table stakes even 5 years ago. And now they seem to be like falling by the wayside. They're like Jurassic Park or something. You can't, like, they're becoming extinct. As brands try to make it more difficult for consumers to unsubscribe. But in reality, preference centers make it better for both sides by enabling your audience to tell you what they want. they really, really want. And that's data, right? That's data you can use to provide them more relevant content and information. So please bring back the preference centers, I beg you.
Well, I'll see what I can do on the editing side to add in some things, but I'm pretty sure Spice Girls is going to be copyrighted, so I'm not sure I can get that one in for you.
Dang it.
Well, I'll do my best though. All right. Do you have any final thoughts that you want to share, or is there anything that we didn't cover during today's episode?
I mean, honestly, I'll just raise my glass. It's kind of almost empty. It's been fun. To all the positive momentum that direct mail practitioners have made and are making to level up the channel and continue to ensure it delivers the highest possible return on investment. This is not an easy job, but the way that we're all pushing the envelope to make it better and better, and, to do these things to make it more intelligent, that's cool. So cheers.
Cheers. I love that. All right. Well, thank you, Kim, for coming back on the podcast to talk about intelligent mail. To our listeners, thank you so much for joining us for Mixers and Marketing. Learn more about intelligent mail at lobdemo.co/intelligent mail. That's lobdemo.co/intelligent mail. If you want to dive even further into this topic and see how other marketers are leveraging intelligent mail in their marketing campaigns this year, please feel free to download a copy of our 2023 State of Direct Mail report at lobdemo.co/directmail2023. We hope you'll join us again to listen as we talk about all things marketing and enjoy a mixed drink. As always, you can browse our library of episodes over at lobdemo.co/lobcast. Thanks for listening, and that's all, folks.